Hi all, welcome back to my show, Sunshine the City. Now, a lot of you know from my previous video I've hit a bit of strife, hit the kind of like Antifa type nerve. Well, I'm going to do Beirut again. Just remember to put your armour of God on. You live in a world of truth is not really there right now. You cannot give truth out anymore. But we're going to do it anyway, because that's who I am. It's what I like doing. So in Beirut, we've seen the explosions. Now apparently the whole Beirut government, and Lebanon wants an inquiry, whole Beirut government has retired. Completely retired. Now, why would they, all of them, retire on something just for 7 tons of nitrate being stuck on the port? Probably nothing to do with them, possibly. More going on. They discovered after the explosion. So nitrate is like an explosion, right? They call it like a fertilizer bomb, that kind of thing. But you had like a mushroom bomb and an aftershock. And when you're landing in an atomic nuclear bomb or a Moab bomb, it's not made of nitrate. It's a different kind of bomb. So we have a mushroom bomb, which is not nitrate. That's just ridiculous. Okay, so why would all the Beirut government retire? Why? Then you got no one to answer for it because everyone's retired. No one wants to be part of this anymore. So what did we find under the rubble? We found tunnels. Where were the tunnels going to? Why would there be tunnels right on the edge of the sea? Why? They're going to the port. They're going to where they can jump them on ships. That kind of thing. So it's kind of like a port, right? Where you can put your nitrate on there from the port, just sitting there, ready to go. Then you have tunnels under where the port is, and then you have people going up there, like child slavery, that kind of thing, which Trump was talking about in Mexico. They had children going up there, and he was concerned about children going missing. And then we hear about pedo rings, and we hear about adrenodrome, that kind of thing. And then we talk about how that's been closed up now. It's all finished. And there are other places, countries that are still doing rings, child rings, and there's still a supply chain going on. They've tried to stop quite a few countries. Haiti had one where a lady came down, tried to take children off a camp, and then Bill Clinton went to rescue her, that kind of thing. Now we're hearing stories of basically supply chains, that they're trying to shut them down throughout the world. So Beirut was one of those ones, supply chain for child rings. And so someone has dropped a bomb there, and of course they're not going to say, hey, it was me. They're not going to say that now, because there's been casualties, civilian casualties. And the bomb seemed to be bigger than it should have been, possibly. But the Moab bomb in Afghanistan was used to infiltrate caves and bunkers under the ground, right? But people aren't ready to hear this. So that's why you used the big Moab bomb, was to destroy the Afghan army, was hiding underground. And so you're doing the same thing here in Beirut. You have a big bomb that can destroy the tunnels and whatever is under there. And so we know that there are tunnels underground, and we know that one of the biggest reasons for tunnels is child human trafficking rings. So they're using the tunnels to go to the shipping yard because it's right by the sea. And doesn't that make sense? It's right by the sea, and this is where they had to bomb it. Well, why didn't they bomb inland of there? Bomb another building inland of there? So these things seem to happen on the port. I mean, we're seeing it in movies now where they have people in craters, that kind of thing. You open up the crate and there's people in there. Well, they don't even have to do that anymore. They just have the tunnel that goes under the ground where you can't even see it. They're talking about Trump's fence, and that it's a Tesla fence now, and it's going to help monitor things. And Tesla, not even talking about cars now, that they had that deception in space. They had the Tesla car on an mount for 1 second, and then all of a sudden it's in space. But then most of the people in the world didn't see that 1 second where it was on the mount in a building. No one saw that because the media edited it out. And so the editor is still part of the deep state, still part of the deception going on for us humans outside of America. So America might have seen it, but we did not. And so we live in a world of deception. So what I'm saying in Beirut is that it was a bomb, and there was reasons for it. No one's going to own up to it. Possibly they've stopped a child ring going under the ground, riots going on, and I would say the whole Beirut government has retired because they've been blackmailed to retire and shown what they were doing, that they were part of this child ring that's going on. And United Nations, everybody else, seem to be like the good guys in the world. They're all part of this deception, part of the child ring. I mean, Helen Clark represented New Zealand in a government here, did nothing about the child ring. She allowed these things to still carry on. So that we have a lot of deep state people that they say they're representing religion, a lot of them. I mean, Tom Hanks was an evangelistic son. I'm just trying to think of the people who are related to religion and are not. So just because they say they're religious doesn't mean that they are. We got Dern. She says she's the daughter of a Mormons. Then you've got Helen Clark, was a choir girl in Catholic Church, possibly that kind of thing. But these people are evil. Then we have the Labour government in total red like Satanism colours. Red is the colour of their party, but they've got red floating down in cannibalistic type picture which looks like Satanism rituals, that kind of thing. We live in a world now where we're rescuing children, pedophilia, and you're doing that. And then we have the link with Clinton. So when Clinton came to New Zealand twice, I think, she came here, then she looked it up at Five Eyes Security. We're part of Australia, Canada, America, that kind of thing. She looked in our Five Eyes Security for what's going on in the world, and we just gave that to her. Then we gave her 5 million. So under John Key, who used to work with George Soros, he gave Hillary Clinton Foundation 7 million, which she says used for poverty, but she's putting the money into Haiti, which is a child ring. So Exim is who Hillary Clinton's related to, and New Zealand's all linked into this because we're giving them money. Australia was giving them money too. So we gave like 12 million in total. So Dern came, gave her a Buzzy Bee, and we got a child's book, and then we gave her 5 million with that as well. She's thinking, what a bunch of fools these are. And at the same time, that Christchurch thing happened when just after she left, and then we had Podesta in Christchurch right before the Christchurch disaster, and we're not allowed to talk about it because Ardern made sure that the social media platforms were going to destroy any evidence of what happened there in Christchurch. But the guy wrote his own manuscript and said what he was about. He said he was linked to a group kind of thing, and what he was about, and kind of linked up with, because a lot of these Satanists are linked up with climate change, and he was talking about climate change and we're destroying the world, that kind of thing. He was very Freemasony type talk, and the cops, our administration and everything else is all linked to Freemasons. So it was all covered up. The police said they were going to go overseas, that kind of thing. The guy, we got him in prison. She obviously didn't agree with what he'd done, Ardern, but then she's part of it as well because she's a Freemason member, and there is talk of her being one. She came under President Keaton. She's a secretary for him. She's the secretary for Helen Clark, and all of a sudden she's leader of a country. It doesn't make sense. They've lined her up for the job, that kind of thing. So I don't know if we're very big in these child rings in New Zealand. Apparently we're not. Only every 3 years someone goes missing. But then we were like the perfect opportunity for them to do this Christchurch disaster. You think, well, Beirut's another one. These disasters happening in the unlikeliest places because they can't do these disasters in their own countries anymore. So the countries that have been friendly to the evil in the world are now being used as part of this right now. So, that's why New Zealand, that's why New Zealand is being used for the Christchurch thing, because we were so weak. It's also gun control seems to be related to these things. Australia had it, removing their guns. So we can't use pistols or machine guns, that kind of thing. We're only allowed to use hunting rifles. So if there was a disaster in the world right now, and we have United Nations trying to rule the earth, and they're not really looking into things, they're not looking into the Wuhan crisis. You saw in my last video that China would have, with the bankruptcy, that kind of thing, and loaning to the world and buying out everything in the world with no money whatsoever. Everything was done on debt. They didn't have any money. They just printed it with their machines. And then they had people distributing the money from bank to bank. Hong Kong was what the real currency was for them. So they would put their money in there and they'd have some real currency. So they didn't fiddle that bank too much. But they need Hong Kong. And that's the reason that all the nastiness is happening in Hong Kong right now, where they took out the media guy and they put him into a organ donating camp, like where everybody else goes in Hong Kong that protests. At one stage there, they had 9 to 12 people that disappeared, all freedom fighters for Hong Kong, leaders in their movement. I mean, I would be scared for Avi to go back there in Australia. Anyone that stands out on China right now is in a lot of trouble. But at the end of the day, if I get taken out, at least, they don't have any flip on me. They can't, I'm not that well connected to anyone. So, if they took out me, they just take out me. So it's so much easier for me to tell the truth about what's going on in the world. Anyway, thank you all. Thank you for subbing to my channel. Help get me to 1,000, and let's get the truth out there, guys. Thank you all.